Hey, I saw you in Winston's reports on the Chengdu attack. Way to stick it to Null Sector.
It was nothing. My sister did most of the heavy lifting. I just got people out safe.
Protecting our friends is a noble thing. Be proud of what you do.
Thanks, man. It's nice to hear the reminder.
My name is Shroomy, Shroomathan, Shroomster. I have a lot of different names, and I just really like lore. This time, we're finally going to be going into Wuyang's character, lore, and general history. So we're going to be going over the comic, and as well, talking about little details I haven't seen anyone talk about anywhere, such as stuff from interviews and articles around his launch. There's a lot of secret little lore in that way, and I think it'll just be really fun to dissect and let people know about. So, we're going to be starting off with Wuyang's comic. However, I already have a video with my first thoughts on it on the channel, so I'm not going to be going too deep into it, mostly just summarizing some of the events and some of the key moments, as well as just highlighting Wuyang's character. We're going to be doing that, going into Wuyang a bit more with his character, as I was saying, his family, and then, of course, going over the small details I haven't seen anyone talk about. So, we have a lot to unpack and a lot to discuss, and at the end, we're going to be going over some theories and speculation on him as well. So, let's just get right into it by talking about, of course, Wuyang's comic. Wuyang's comic, Against the Tide, highlights and focuses on Wuyang's life at his university, a school built on the idea of the Wuyang philosophy. There are 5 major tracks at his college: fire, water, wood, metal, and earth. Wuyang's parents were both in the fire track during the Omnic Crisis, and his family is seen as a prestigious fire-based family. His sister, Anran, is the star pupil of this academy, and is also on the fire track. Upon entering the college, Wuyang didn't score high enough for the fire track, and was placed in water. Because of this, his parents began to look down on him, and focus their attention and love towards his sister. An important thing to highlight here is how Anran herself continued to support and respect him, but his parents' shadow loomed overhead. To make up for this, Wuyang decided to study the fire track in secret, creating a hybrid style of water and fire. This eventually would show how successful this was when the Null Sector invasion began. As a water track, he was told to stay back and heal, while his sister and the fire track went to fight Null Sector, but when he heard his sister did not return, he charged into the city to find her. He fought through the city, finding his sister and saving her from Null Sector. They returned to the academy as heroes, and eventually, Null Sector was pushed back. For his actions, the school celebrated him and his sister, both becoming star pupils of the academy. His parents started to view him more favorably, and support him in the water track as much as his sister. That, of course, is just a very short summary of the comic, and as I said, you can hear more of my other thoughts on it in my other video on the topic. As for where his story goes next, we actually see this in his hero trailer. While the hero trailer is mainly talking about Anran and Wuyang's dynamic and their clash, we see Wuyang and later Anran get Overwatch medals, the same medals that Reinhardt had in Honor and Glory, and just the symbol that shows you're an Overwatch agent pretty much. Also the thing that the recall went through, and how many agents knew the recall happened back in the day. This signifies they are invited to join the organization. The two of them decided to head off together to join the heroes of Overwatch, and that's most of the main story we get to learn so far. However, through voice lines and interviews, we get a lot more general world building and about Wuyang, as well as some maybe hints at what the future has for these two in particular. So one of the biggest questions that I've seen people talk about with Wuyang is who exactly invited him to Overwatch? I thought personally before we kind of had an answer to this, which I'll talk about in a second, it could have been Emery. I saw people saying maybe it was Genji who slid like the things under the doors, and then that's how they didn't know who saw it, because the only thing we had was that the person was very sneaky, and then the medals just kind of got like slid under both their doors. So we kind of have an answer now based on an interaction between Wuyang and Sojourn. While it's not concrete, I think it gives us a better idea of who it was. I'll go ahead and play it here.
Man, you sure you guys invited the right person to Overwatch?
I'm sure. Winston was very insistent.
I think I know my answer, but I need some time to let it sink in.
I get it. It's not a decision to make lightly.
Yeah, so while it's obviously not confirmed, I think it's pretty plausible to me that it's Sojourn. We've seen Sojourn and heard Sojourn when it got everyone's family for the Christmas comic, so she flies around a lot. She also is the one who got Arisa and Ify. They went to go visit her in Toronto in the Unity short story. So obviously she knows how to fly. And she probably just flew over there after Winston told her, like, hey, I really like these people, let's recruit them. And Sojourn probably just sneakily went in there and slid the stuff under the doors. She's also a vigilante in Toronto, so makes sense that she would be able to get in and out pretty quick. So to me, I'm pretty sure it was Sojourn. And that is kind of the big mystery behind, but there is a lot more I want to talk about. Another thing I'd like to mention is I just want to talk about his parents for a minute. So we get to know a little bit about Wuyang's parents through the comic and just generally with Wuyang. And aside from how he feels about them, they seem to be pretty important to the whole China and Omnic Crisis storyline that's kind of evolving over time. Especially because they seem to be like really well-known figures in that area, and they're kind of the reason they won the crisis, from how it sounds, or two of the very important reasons. Because we also find out that China apparently built mechs. We learned this in an interview, and I'll put it up on screen, but also we learned this from an in-game interaction, which I'll play between Soldier and Wuyang, so I'll play that now.
Those mechs from your university were a real powerhouse during the crisis. I expect you'll live up to that standard.
I'll do my best, sir. But, I'm not a mech, so maybe lower your bar a little?
So, yeah, we learned about the mechs, and we've learned about all that, so I really want to hear more about this stuff, because it's kind of glossed over here, and the only place we really heard about mechs before this was with Volskaya in Russia. So I want to know, like, are they massive mechs like that, or are they smaller mechs? I just want to hear more about it, because it's pretty new information that I don't think was a thing before this. So that would be really interesting to learn more on. As for his parents in general, we don't get a lot on them. They were both fire tracks, and they're kind of the reason the fire track is very prestigious. It kind of built up their families, it looks like. So probably just very important in all of that, especially with the crisis in general. So his parents are very important. That's kind of the main gist of the lore you have to get with them. But the mechs are the more important thing here. And those are the main points I wanted to talk about, just everything with his parents and some of the smaller lore you might not have noticed. But there is some other stuff I'd like to talk about as well, mainly from this one interview. I will link it below and also be talking about it here. Wuyang and, well, Wuyang's writer, Yashi, they talk about a lot of stuff that I feel like we should talk about with Wuyang. The interviewer actually asks a lot of really important questions, stuff I really like, and I think people just need to know generally, such as this first one. So, Wuyang's feelings about Omnics. Basically, because of the null sector stuff, you would assume he would have a formulated response or opinion on them. He really doesn't. It seems like doesn't really mind them, doesn't really care for them, which kind of brings up a bigger thing with Wuyang, which is like, I don't really know how he's going to feel about null sector in total. Null Sector is a very important faction to the Overwatch world right now, so I feel like every hero has to have some type of opinion on them, and therefore Omnics, but not having an opinion on them is kind of interesting, and I really hope we get to hear more about that, especially if Wuyang and Anran are joining Overwatch. They're going to meet Bastion. They're going to meet Orisa and Echo, who are robots, but Bastion more specifically is an Omnic. So I'd love to see how they all interact with that group of characters. Yeah, so that's kind of the big thing there as well. Here's some other lore about Wuyang's staff. Whoa, yeah, this is kind of random, but I thought this was a really neat thing talking about his staff. Kind of looks like a turtle. Here's the response why. Yeah, it's to do with the actual mythology of it all, and just some fun little details there. But in total, Wuyang has a couple other interactions, such as with Doomfist, or like with Baptiste, which I put at the beginning of the video. Those are not as important. I think Doomfist's is just a fun one. It's about arcade games, but Baps is more interesting because Baptiste really like resonates with Wuyang in some ways, and I think these two could have a really fun like friendship in Overwatch. And Baptiste really needs more people to talk to because he doesn't really talk to many Overwatch agents as it is right now. And the last big part of Wuyang isn't even really about Wuyang. I want to talk about Anran for a second. Anran, I don't know how you pronounce their name yet. Obviously, I haven't really heard it yet. But they have a voice actor, and it's kind of alluded to that they're going to be a hero. Aaron Keller had like a Gamescom interview where he kind of said some stuff talking about Anran, which, like he said, their kits, plural, talking about Wuyang and Anran as an example. Really interesting stuff. It could have just been a slip of the tongue, but also this character has more of a this will be a playable hero vibe to them than any other hero we've gotten in the last 2 years. Team Suzy for the win, but sadly I think it's going to be Anran first, which with everything going on with Overwatch, I think we're not going to be seeing non-human heroes for a while. Probably one oddball next year, as said on another stream, but besides that, I don't think we're going to be seeing Omnix anytime soon. So I think Anran will be a good hero, not next year, but the year after, for 2027. We have a good idea of who is coming next year, which I'll probably make a video on in the future, because there is a little roadmap they've laid out for us that not a lot of people know, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But I like Anran a lot, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be a hero in the future. So probably a fire DPS if I had to guess. And then we'll have another sibling rivalry, a positive sibling relationship like with Genji and Hanzo, but a little bit more less angst, I guess. It's definitely not a negative relationship, but definitely less drama. So as well, one other thing I just remembered too with this, which makes me believe this, every character in Overwatch is a playable character. Except for Ify. Ify's the only Overwatch Overwatch character who isn't a playable hero right now on the roster. So, they're going to be playable. Anran is definitely happening. So we'll probably get more about Wuyang when they happen in the future. But, that's all from me on Anran. But, in total, these are the smaller things I picked up on and just general little vibes or general little things I found through interviews and other things that I just wanted to talk about. If you have any other fun facts or anything you've noticed about Wuyang, please comment them below. I'll definitely read them, and I will definitely try to shout them out if I ever make a sequel to this. But yeah, how do you guys feel about Wuyang? Do you like him? Do you not like him? And in general, just how are you enjoying the season so far? Thanks for watching. Let me know how you liked the video below, and I will talk to you guys later.